Hello, everyone. My name is Casey, and I am the Director of Life Enrichment here at Bethany. I'm also one of the social workers here. I am also, on top of that, the grievance officer for Bethany. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the grievance process in the nursing home. It is pretty much the same across campus, but the nursing home has a little bit more reporting requirements that we're going to go through. So, what is a grievance? A grievance is a concern, it's not a complaint. It gives us an opportunity at Bethany to investigate or come to a common ground with a resident and or their family in regards to concerns that they might have in regarding an individual subject or matter. So, who can file a grievance? Anyone can file a grievance. It could be residents, visitors, family, chaplain, staff, whomever. I've even had people who've never stepped foot into Bethany or maybe just heard something on the phone or might have heard a rumor out in the community give me a call, and it is my obligation to investigate that grievance. So, how can people file a grievance? Well, they can do it verbally, written, phone call, anonymous, email, any which way that they possibly would like to. However, we do have a process that we would like staff to follow when they receive a grievance. So, first of all, I want you to find out who is voicing the grievance. Don't come up to me and say a bunch of residents have a concern and they want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. I want to know who is voicing that concern because I'm not able to fully investigate it unless I'm able to talk to that individual and so that I can really find out what's going on. You're then going to fill out the appropriate green sheet to where the resident is located. If the grievance can be taken care of within your shift or right away, I don't want to see the grievance form. But if it is going to take more than just your shift or that you feel it's a larger problem, then definitely fill out the grievance form. Example, my dinner is cold. Well, the expectation would be that you would warm up the resident's dinner. My dinner is cold every single night. I'm the last one served. That would be a grievance because it's not something that you can solve right away. So this is our grievance form. For each entity, there is a different grievance form. In the Pines, it goes to Deb Ehrenberg, our CAC director, Kelly in our CBRF in Hartwood, and myself here in the nursing home or anything large campus wide. So let's go through the grievance form. We want to know the resident's name, their room number, date and time that you took the grievance, and then a detail of the complaint or grievance that someone might be having. I then want to know what shift the grievance occurred on because there are over 200 employees here at Bethany, and I typically get that girl with blonde hair and wears glasses. And 9 times out of 10, they don't have blonde hair and they probably don't wear glasses. So if you can at least narrow it down to a shift for me, that way I can make sure that I'm talking to the appropriate people. If the grievance meets the definition of caregiver misconduct, you should not be filling out this form. You should be following our abuse policy. This is just a tool and a reminder for you. Otherwise, you're going to sign your name legibly and you're going to give it to the appropriate person. This is our missing items form. Again, I want to know resident's name, room number, and date. I also want to know what items lost, and I want you to be specific as possible. Please don't write Green Bay Packers shirt. Not really helpful to me because there is a bajillion Green Bay Packers shirts out there. Green Bay Packers shirt with Jordan Love's face on it would be the most helpful. You're also then going to write when was the last time they saw it, date and time, and possible location. Because you are new employees, Residents are going to take advantage of this. So if they're asking and saying, hey, I'm missing a blanket from Christmas, use your best judgment. I probably already know about it, and I probably A, didn't find it, or it never existed. So please use your best judgment on that. You are then going to search for this missing item like it is your keys or your cell phone or the most prized possession that you have, because it truly is for our residents. If they're missing a piece of clothing, it's really important to them. So you're going to look through their room with permission. You're going to search high and low. If they have a roommate, you're going to look through their things and maybe just look around at the different rooms down the hall as well. If you still haven't found it, you're then going to contact housekeeping and laundry, and you're going to talk with them. You're going to find out, was it ever on the inventory list? Have they seen it? Sometimes it's down in the laundry area and it just hasn't came back up. Sometimes they just haven't seen it, but it's still on the inventory sheet. You're then going to contact dietary, and you're going to speak to a manager. Why are we calling dietary for a t-shirt? Stranger things have happened. I've had pants show up in dietary. We're just happy that we found the pants. But in all reality, we're looking for glasses, teeth, hearing aids, cell phones, TV remotes, you name it. Excuse me. They don't have it, we're then going to move on to family, because maybe family came in and they took it home because it might have had a stain, it was too small, etc. So if you still haven't found this missing item, this missing Jordan Love t-shirt, you're then going to sign your name legibly and date and time. You are then going to give it to myself in the nursing home. My least favorite thing to do is when I'm doing follow-up is to walk in and I see that Casey's wearing her Jordan Love Green Bay Packers shirt that's been missing for several days. It is our responsibility to make sure that if the item has been found, we let me know. Excuse me. And then also to actually look for it. Sometimes I get grievance forms and missing items forms and things have been located and people just chose not to follow the process. Again, I cannot stress to you the importance of these items being like your cell phone or your car keys. So in the nursing home, I have to complete an investigative report. So when I am coming to you and asking you questions, it's not to make your lives more difficult or question your judgment on your job. It's because I'm trying to get information so that I can complete my report and so that I have facts. So I take all of the information that you have given to me from the original grievance. I then describe what happened in the grievance, steps that I've taken to investigate that grievance, and then a summary of my findings. And then I always have to have a recommendation or corrective action plan, whether that's education to our staff, to the family, to the resident. Sometimes it's a change in care planning. There's a variety of different corrective action plans that I can do depending on the grievance. I then am going to sign and date it. However, I'm not done with that grievance. I then still need to follow up in the coming days to make sure that things are going well. If they're not going well, I keep that grievance open until we can come to some sort of common ground. But if it is going well, then I fill out the information and then I have our administrator sign the grievance. So because oftentimes we forget things, we provide you some tools. So on the close to the grievance form, or typically attached to it, is a pink piece of paper. On the front of it is the caregiver misconduct chart. It provides you the 4 different types of caregiver misconduct, some definitions, and some possible examples. And then located at the bottom is Shannon and I's cell phone number, so you can contact us if you have any questions. We would rather you call us and ask us, is this a grievance or is this caregiver misconduct, than not contact us at all and then we have no sort of reporting. So we provide you the tools to be able to kind of walk through that process. On the back of this is the resident-to-resident altercation flow sheet. So if residents do get into some sort of altercation, this is the reporting requirements that we have in order to tell us if we need to report or whatnot. So I'm kind of a statistic nerd, and I started keeping track in 2021 of our grievances, just wanting to see if we could see any trends that may have been happening. So in 2021, we had 55 grievances. 30 and a half of those were nursing care concerns, and missing items was 18. The half comes in because it shared a grievance with another department, but it was one grievance. These are the two areas in which I would hope that there was or would be the highest, I guess, because those are the two areas that are most likely going to have grievances. In 2022, we had 53 grievances, 18 of them being care concerns, and 31 of them being missing items. I really saw a flip flop at this point, and I was kind of like, what's going on? Why did our missing items drastically increase? So I really started to watch, and what I found was that our residents that were coming in for short term rehab were coming in with their clothing that they wore, and then they brought in clothing and we sent down to be laundered. But we forgot about the clothing that they were wearing or clothing that they brought in later on that would need to be inventoried and labeled. So we ended up doing a performance improvement project. So the performance improvement project, or otherwise known as the Blue Bag Project, we started off in our short-term rehab unit, and then we ended up using it throughout our long-term units, and then we ended up implementing it over in the CBRF as well. So any new item that's brought in will be placed in a blue mesh bag with the room number on it, and it will be sent down to laundry. It gives laundry an opportunity to inventory it, wash, and label prior to giving it back to the resident. Long-term residents and in the CBRF have one bag hanging in their bathroom. The short-term residents have two bags hanging in their bathroom or their closet, one for the day of entry and one for the next day, so that we are making sure that we're capturing all of their clothing. When a missing item happens, we do look at the inventory sheet to see if it has been inventoried and if it is something that was brought into our facility. Any non-clothing items must go through social services. So examples are iPads, dentures, glasses, cell phones, jewelry. We do a separate inventory sheet that is left in their chart to keep track of these things. So in 2023, we ended up with 32 grievances, which was 13 care concerns and 18 and a half missing items, which was wonderful. We saw that drastically drop. I also then, instead of just looking at the grievances, started looking at resident days because each resident gets counted as a day for the year that they are here. So instead of looking at the grievance numbers, we compared it to the days that, how many days we had of resident days. So in 2023, we had 23,865 days, which ultimately ended up being 1.3 our grievances per resident day, which is actually really, really good. Finally, in 2025, we had 47 grievances. I ended up breaking out the missing items that were unsolved and the missing items that were solved. So unsolved was 22 missing items and 19 missing items that were solved. And there was 13 care concerns with 47 total grievances for the year, which was fantastic. which again is about 1.7 grievances per resident day, which again, I'm very, very happy with, which that number is still very, very low. So it's important that you realize that our job is to ensure that our residents and their families are satisfied. Our job is huge customer service. We want to make sure that everyone is happy here at Bethany. So we should do this by turning in grievance properly or promptly so that we can review them and resolve them as appropriately and as responsibly as we can. We should do everything we possibly can to look for missing items. Again, think of it as your cell phone or your keys. If something is missing and you know that it's been found, please let me know right away, as I do keep track of that stuff, and then I can close out my reports. Also, I want to let you know that we are responsible for all missing items, especially our high value items, and we end up having to purchase these, which we do not budget for, and it typically comes out of resident care, or it can come out of money for us employees for like raises or fun things. So we do purchase things such as dentures, glasses, hearing aids, and they cost a lot of money. Dentures are typically about $1,000 a piece. Glasses are $100 and hearing aids are $500 a piece, and that really, really adds up. So we really encourage you to follow the processes that we have in place for making sure that we're putting them where they belong. I do keep all grievances on file for a minimum of 3 years, because when state comes in, I do have to hand over all grievances from the last time that they visited us, and they do review them and go through them with a fine-tooth comb. And I work with the administrator and department director, because I can't be everywhere, and sometimes things are happening that I might not be aware of. A resident might say, hey, my call light time was really long last night, but if I don't know that, hey, there might have been an emergency and it was all hands on deck, then I can't really explain that to our residents. And that's something that I like to be upfront with them and really hearing about any of their concerns so that we can promptly solve them. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any of your questions, whether it's reporting or if it is a grievance or if it's caregiver misconduct. Thank you.